first batch of Ghanaian evacuees fleeing xenophobic attacks in South Africa expected in Ghana this week.
Also, National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat raids Samfua Diem in the Ashanti region, leading to the arrest of 2 Chinese nationals.
Later, Ghana remains on high alert despite not recording any cases of Ebola. It's News Central Live on TV3. I'm Kemini Amano.
And I am Mawena Egbeta. The bulletin starts right now. This afternoon, the Minister for Foreign Affairs has assured Ghanaians residing in South Africa of the government's commitment to rescuing every Ghanaian in harm's way. On the instructions of the President, the Minister was in South Africa on the 21st of this month to assess the situation and assure citizens of plans to evacuate them following recent xenophobic attacks and threats. The first batch of voluntary evacuees are expected to arrive on the country starting tomorrow. It is estimated that all 800 individuals registered for evacuation will be screened and escorted through security by South African authorities. The fluid situation has raised concerns over insecurity in South Africa, prompting other African nations to look out for their citizens. Here is the Minister.
We have a president and we have leadership who care about their people and who will go every extent to protect the welfare, the interest, the dignity, and the safety of our compatriots. President Mahama says I should tell you that he's not going to rest until all of you are safe, until you are all taken out of harm's way. All of you who have written your names, we have the list, over 800 Ghanaians who are ready to be evacuated back home. We are going to make sure that you are assisted back home to the motherland where you all belong and where you will not have your dignity affronted. President Mahama also wants me to assure all of you that this is not just going to be an evacuation, but everything that has to be done to make sure that you are fully reintegrated and that you are supported to be back on your feet again. Because for some of you, this became your second home, and you haven't been to Ghana in a while. You have been establishing yourselves here. You are running businesses here. You are pursuing your professions here. But to suddenly be relocated, not something you really planned for. It is only appropriate that we support you, give you the needed assistance so that you can build your lives back once you get back home. As you know, in Ghana, we are always ready to receive our own and to support our brothers and sisters to find their feet. So that will not be difficult.
Let's connect with our international affairs correspondent, Martin Esiridate, for a bit more on this. Martin, I appreciate you for joining us. What is the update we have currently as to what's happening at the High Commission in South Africa?
Marina, thanks for the opportunity. So to start with, what we know for certain is that between the 26th and 29th, which is tomorrow and Thursday, the first batch out of the 826 who have registered to return to Ghana will be touching down. And this was after the assurance by the Foreign Affairs Minister. Now, he had to go to South Africa himself on the orders of the president because of the earlier fiasco that happened. You know, there were reports that only one Ghanaian had turned up and that it wasn't true that the Ghanaians in South Africa wanted to return home. You know, there was mockery made out of that, but on the back of those reports and on the orders of the president, the foreign minister went there, interacted with the Ghanaian community, those that had registered to return, and many of them shared very emotional sentiments on how they were nearly, some said they were nearly lynched, others said their shops were destroyed and forcefully shut down. So many, expressed fear and were willing to come home immediately. The one Ghanaian who turned up, that became a talking point, last Wednesday when we were all expecting the first batch to return. He also got the opportunity to meet the High Commissioner and the Foreign Minister, and he was given full assurance that his name will be added to the first batch to return to Ghana. So all fingers crossed. We know that the screening is currently still ongoing. We know that out of the 826, so far about 400 have gone through screening and are waiting to board the flight, hopefully tomorrow, and will be, in the end, returning to Ghana very soon. Another interesting point of note will be, is the packages that they are going to be receiving. You know that the government has promised to give them some packages, financial allowance, you can call it that, when they come in, and then also they will be helped to be transported to the various regions or communities that they originally were from before they went to South Africa, and all in a bid to help them reintegrate into the Ghanaian community, which is home for them. So that is the latest regarding the evacuation exercise. The willingness is there. They want to leave. They said they went on their own. However, they are appreciative of this initiative from government to help them come back to Ghana.
On that package, it's come up for some conversation. Is there an understanding as to what it will entail beyond the headline mention of the package as well? And perhaps, do we have on firm word the numbers that will touch down, God willing, tomorrow?
So a specific figure has not been given, so we do not know whether it's going to be 100 cedis per person or 1,000 cedis per person. We are unsure of that. However, we only know that government has promised to give them some settlement packages. And this is not the first time that this kind of policy has been instituted or implemented. We know for sure that the original program or project was when the German GIZ institution in Ghana intended to help Ghanaians in Germany who wanted to come back to Ghana. They had this policy, and it is that blueprint that Ghana is more or less using. So they have the money and the allowances that they were giving to people who voluntarily wanted to come back to Ghana. And I think, or based on the information we have gathered so far, although the sum is not known, we are being told that it is something substantive. So hopefully, when the first flight does touch down, we probably can glean from one or two of the evacuees how much they have been told or they've been promised. Then we can, do an estimation or an assumption of how much government is committing to the evacuation package that they are going to be given.
Right, Martin, we know as well today is African Union Day and government has been launching an e-visa portal. Talk to us about this launch and what's been said there by both the president and the foreign minister.
Well, it is quite novel, and you can tell there's a lot of excitement at the program which is currently ongoing because Ghana now joins about 6 African countries that have already rolled out an e-visa policy. So what this means is that if anybody from the diaspora, the European countries, the Americas, the Caribbean, coming into Ghana, you do not need to apply for the visa with hard copy. Everything is gone digital. So when you apply online, you just have to wait a maximum of 48 hours, and then a decision will be made, and you'll be issued an e-visa. So the e-visa changes what usually we know about, which is the passport. So now all you need is your passport and then your luggage. When you get to the airport, if you have applied and you have been issued with a visa, you will get an email. So when you get to the airport, they'll just key in your name or swipe your passport, and then if your visa has been issued, the immigration officer will be alerted that yes, this man has applied and has a visa, and then you come in. So it cuts short the long queues we see at our embassies, the long queues we see at our high commission, and then the delays and the frustration of applying for a visa. And then also another point to note is that the amount of money that people have to pay for it. It is now $260 for people who are applying for the e-visa to come to Ghana. And this is also quite novel because it is the next step in global travel, where Ghana now joins many other countries like the UK, Germany, and the rest to roll out visas that you do not now need to wait. They will take your passport. Sometimes you have to wait for 2 weeks. The UK used to do that, but now when you apply online, in 2 days you'll get the notification of whether you've been given a visa or not. Take your passport, take your luggage, go to the airport. They swipe, they see your image, and then if you've been given a visa, you can just get on board and come to Ghana. And then, final point I want to make on this is that it is free for all Africans or people of African descent. If you are coming into Ghana from any of the African countries, just apply online, and then that you don't have to pay. So Africans are not paying for it. However, They still have to apply. And the issue of security, many thought that it means every African can just get up and come to Ghana. That has been debunked, and we are told that all security checks will still be done. However, it is supposed to ensure that a united, integrated Africa is propelled through initiatives like this.
Absolutely, Martin. I appreciate the detail. That's my colleague Martin Esedu-Data, who's a foreign affairs correspondent for us this afternoon as well. We're staying on the subject matter of Ghanaians living in South Africa, and some of them affected by the recent xenophobic attacks are currently undergoing documentation and support processes by the Ghana High Commission in Pretoria. Speaking on TV3 New Day, the victim shared painful accounts of fear, displacement, and loss following the attacks, while calling for protection and urgent intervention.
So I came here.
What work exactly do you do?
Hairdresser.
You're a hairdresser.
Yes, please.
Now I'm told that you were physically attacked. What exactly happened to you?
That case is last week Sunday.
What happened?
I was the work. So the time I closed the work, and that guys started to attack the people, chasing the people out at the shops. So I ran away, and they chased me. Mommy, so fast they beat me a lot. They hate me. They hate me a lot.
They beat you?
Yeah. They hit me. My hair. If you see my face, they are stitched now.
Oh no. Oh my God.
More than 6.
More than 6 men? And they were hitting you. What was their reason for attacking you?
They said they must leave that town.
Is this the first time you faced something like this, or has it happened before?
Yes, mommy. It's the first time.
Wow. But prior to being attacked, had they been coming to the shop to threaten you? Were there threats?
Yeah, it's threat, and they said they must leave this country. They don't want to see us here. Not only me, the Ghanaians.
So you're ready to come back home now?
Yes, please.
Okay. And so you're one of the people who's registering, hoping that by Wednesday or whichever time they can bring you, you'll get on that flight and come to Ghana.
Yes, please.
When you come, are you concerned about what work you will end up doing here?
Yeah, because I don't have anything. In case if I'm coming home, I don't have anything to do it. But if I get something, I'll start my business.
South Africa, say Ghana.
In fierce any.
The 3 years, minya 3 years. In this month, ya minya 3 years. Na 3 years, ya minya ya na mesa abefie.
Na then Emma wa befie. Catch yen.
Yem na mso mi befie ni say South Africa you could be a sister. Pancha, we risk your life. Nipa ne wokrum wo mo nvi nipa na ahoho ho. Omu se okasa ye different na mu ye mienu mi sa mo ka twi kra de a mo ho ye mo tan.
Ade.
Mo kra ye mo tan. E omu se ye kasa kra nye de e kaya de ye kasa gbagbara ye kasa gbagbara. Because so on tie kasa na sini nti. Omu se ye kasa kra nye.
Oh.
Nene dia ebi ye good. Ni baby na me won de nipa me no mo e san de omu ye good.
Efa na wo wote. Efa na wote.
Me na me wo Eastern Cape. The fe baby nnobo.
Na hono na ejuma ben na wo ye.
Na me de me China ni bi na ye ejuma.
Ejuma ben.
China shop.
Okay.
Tadie ni aboa ni no manoma.
Na se wo se baby a wo wo no na ho nkrofo na ye good a. E dey nti na ma wo pese wo befie.
Nka se omu yi na ye good o. Yen so mo yen si ade no mo yen region by region. Ana se su no uni krata so ho. So no, mi ni krata. Omo so so mo man krata nso. Nti uti ho na mo bebo sense na wanya krata na mo no mu edi udem a. Is twasu. Na se kwanya no so beda betudu akokrum de se se oba okrum. Okrum nya kra ye okrum. So that's it.
Matias. Na wo se woni Mitio. Wo se woni nkrata. O de visa ben e koye. O call through airport ana.
No.
We are there now through South. Pacho ye there now through South Africa. Kwan ben so na afa de through ho.
No credit okay ye me fa zim.
O fa hifa. Zimbabwe na afa enti o free Ghana efa plane ko Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
And na fiti ho ko no fa car na se den.
The far bus until you do border from the rare bush.
Ura bush now the remu.
Rare bush, you could two soldiers, sister. Nipa 5 and I'm ready for Ghana 4-3.
Well, the account of some Ghanaians. And still in relation to this, Associate Professor at the Legon Center for International Affairs and Diplomacy, LESIAD, at the University of Ghana, Professor Daniel Dramani Kipo-Sunyezi has called for the suspension of South Africa from the African Union. He said drastic measures ought to be taken to protect the continent's unity.
I think that our continental body, African Union, has been very lenient to South Africans, and I expect that the continental body should have taken drastic measures against the South African authority. The very continental unity that our forefathers fought, including Nelson Mandela, who was also a visionary looking for the unity of the continent. I don't think Mandela will be happy to see that the country that he fought for their freedom, the man which African leaders supported, including Ghana, political liberation of South Africa, that country has now turned it back, torturing, molesting, attacking the very people who fought for their liberation. Sadly, they have overlooked the very regime that suppressed them with racial segregation, and they have turned to the vulnerable one, torturing them. And that is why I said the African Union at least could have taken measures, possibly even expelling South Africa as a member of African Union. This is a very drastic measure that would have made the president and the ministers there to know that they have gone overboard and the continent is against them. The attack is not only West Africa, even the SADC members, Zimbabwe, Malawi, are subjects of attack. That is why African Union should have taken drastic measures against the South African leaders, at least to keep warning to other African leaders that our continental unity is still very important, and we must do everything to promote internal trade, to promote free movement within our continent.
Now, as you may very well know, it's raining at this time in many parts of the capital city. Last Friday, parts of Accra witnessed a taste of what may become the norm for the next 2 months. Awoshi, Kaneshie, and Bayard in Accra were flooded. Stanley Nibleu is making whistle stops in these flooded areas and is joining us with updates on happenings around the capital city. Stanley, talk to us about where you have been so far and the observations.
Currently, I'm at a place called Kokoko. Kokoko is in between Bayard and then Malam Junction. And this is one of the worst affected parts of the capital when the capital experienced Friday's rain. And so I must say that here, I mean, almost every building or every home sited along the George Walker Bush Highway, because they sunk in nature, all the houses here received water flowing into their homes. And currently, I'm positioned, myself and my cameraman have to seek shelter somewhere because of the ongoing rain. But I've been able to visit a few places within the enclave. And one of the places is a video that probably it went viral, where a lot of water gushed into homes, and occupants had to flee their homes because they lost all their belongings to the flood that occurred
absolutely.
on Friday.
And Stanley, I want us to take a look at that visual when occupants of a home were forced to flee the premises because of the flood waters. Very well, Stanley. I wanted to explain to us what we're looking at in this visual. We see if a few women escape, their home because of the rain. Was it starting to flood? What are we looking at?
Yeah, so Kamini, this rain, I wouldn't say it matches the intensity of rain that we experienced, or part of our experience on Friday. But already the devastating impact of the current rains actually is being felt by a lot of people within the enclave. So some of the homes that got inundated as a result of the downpour earlier this morning, what happened on Friday, a lot of the people had to separate holes beneath their house so that accumulated water that had been in their rooms could gush out of their homes. But as I speak, they were able to tidy their homes. They did that yesterday, tidied their homes and let all the accumulated water out of their homes. But just as they were about to hit some kind of relief, then this morning's rain also set in. So the hole that is separated beneath their homes to let the water out has now become a conduit, channeling water back into their homes. And so it's a very bad situation here for some of the residents living along this stretch.
I see. Stanley, we'll end it here. Thank you so much for talking to us. Stanley Nibleu is making whistle stops in parts of the city, observing the rainfall today. Now, after assurances by city authorities to repair and reopen the Kaneshie pedestrian footbridge within a month of their closure, no repair works have commenced. Stanley Nibleu reports that pedestrians are now crossing the busy highway at dangerous sections, putting their lives at risk as the bridges continue to deteriorate.
On Thursday, April 2, 2026, the Accra Mayor, Mike Ekpakpo Alote, closed the Kaneshie pedestrian footbridges to pave way for maintenance works. The bridges serve as an important link for pedestrians crossing from one side of the highway to the other. Over the years, however, the structures have come under immense pressure due to the human traffic on the bridge. Beyond their intended purpose, traders and beggars have also turned portions of the walkway into business spaces, a practice that has persisted for years. Several metal components of the bridges now appear heavily rusted, while part of the structure shows signs of severe wear and tear. A closer look beneath the walkways revealed visible corrosion and concrete slabs gradually dislodging from their original positions. Pedestrians say they often experience frightening vibrations whenever large crowds use the bridges, prompting the Accra mayor to order their immediate closure for repairs. Funding for the project was expected to come from the Assembly's internally generated funds, with repair works projected to last a month.
We are going to just close one side so that it will not give the bridge too much pressure. We are just going to close one side of the bridge so that the people can use it for the meantime. So it's not going to have so much pressure on the bridge. So as for closing one side, we are going to do that.
However, the deadline for the completion of the project has long elapsed, with engineers yet to move to site. During the news team's visit to Kaneshie Sunday afternoon, a disturbing situation prevails. The bridge continues to deteriorate, even though close to the public. Trading on the stairs lingers as traders hint they could no longer countenance the delay by the Assembly to repair the bridge. Kobe's mother is among traders plying their business on the footbridge. He spoke to TV3 about the engineer's delay in moving to site. Other traders were worried.
The bridge efite war never need a fracture the back show way. What whatever consumo. Yako hani bomata no. Ni no ko ba happy. Dana back a hole. The mere bomada safety. Shini abalokia. Aka abanaba fe bridge no. No me like adaka abanaba wedding. Alo abanaba session affair.
Pedestrians become vulnerable as motorists in many instances disregard their presence, especially after 6 p.m. when traffic regulators close and leave the scene. For minutes, I stood and watched motorists neglecting zebra crossing and putting pedestrians' lives in jeopardy in an attempt to access the opposite side of the highway. Samuel Alote, a transport executive, is not happy.
Zebra crossing no man who you want to one echo machine. Make a mamma by
Pedestrians are now calling on city authorities to urgently begin rehabilitation works on the deteriorating footbridges, warning that continued delays could lead to a major tragedy as they risk their lives daily crossing the highway. Stanley Niblo, TV3 News, Accra.
You're watching News Central here on TV3. I am Kemeni Amano. In other news, as Ebola cases continue to surge in parts of the sub-region, Ghana remains on high alert despite not recording any confirmed cases. Health authorities say surveillance systems at the country's borders, airports and seaports have been strengthened, while infectious disease treatment centers are being prepared to respond swiftly should an outbreak occur. Sarah Penkro is with health officials as they inspect some infectious disease centers. She joins us with updates. Sarah, good afternoon to you. What can you report?
Good afternoon, Kemeni. So currently we are at the infectious disease center at Ghana East, where inspection is being done on the preparedness of the facility. We understand from the managers of the facility that there are no admissions currently. All infectious cases like TB, HIV, and malaria, which were on admission, have been discharged. And so the place is being prepared ahead of any case that is likely to come directly from the airport to the infectious disease center. You know, it's a 100-bed capacity facility. And so we are hoping that health officials are hoping that it will be able to contain a number of cases aside the infectious or isolation centers that have been prepared across some district and regional hospitals. We are expected to move to the airport to also see how the health workers there are screening passengers who are coming from the various African countries where the cases are surging as well, because they play a critical role in how the cases may either enter the country or otherwise. As of today, if you would recall, the WHO has announced that 900 cases suspected cases have been recorded with 200 deaths, and Ghana is said to be on a low level. However, officials are telling us this morning that the 42 Ghanaian health workers who were deployed to Liberia during the 2014-2016 Ebola outbreak have had enough of the knowledge and skill transfer to most of the healthcare workers across the various regions who have been at the forefront from the COVID time till now. So there is really no cause for alarm. So we are still doing inspection at some of the isolation centers to see how prepared we are as a country.
I see, and we know that you've been speaking to some authorities, but Sarah, based on what they are doing, how close are we to restoring what could be, or what was the protocol during the outbreak back in 2014?
Come again, Kamani. It's been raining heavily here, so network is quite
I can
unstable.
imagine. I'll try again. I'm asking that based on your interactions with these health officials who you've been speaking to, how close are we to restoring what was the protocol back in 2014 when there were thermometers at the entry points of this country?
Right. So from the checks that have been done, the labs are still operational. The thermometers, the equipment that were previously being used during the COVID time are all in force. Rightly said, the isolation centers and the disease infection centers had not been closed down entirely as COVID cases, went down. The place is still being run with some infectious cases. So all those equipment are still in force and actively working per the checks and inspections done today.
I see. I want us to take a listen to the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, who is part of the team inspecting these centers.
We are prepared, and when it comes to all the basis of preparedness, where we are talking about sample transportation, case detection, we are talking about treatment, we are talking about risk communication, which all the building blocks of preparedness. We are very because we have the personnel that have experience in managing Ebola, of course. We are even ready for antivirus as well. We actually started this preparation way before when there was the outbreak of antivirus. And we think the people to do for diagnostics, for treatment, for all the preparedness. So it's just a continuum of preparedness or preparation towards the world. So we are very.
Well, Sarah, we'll end our conversation here for now. Thank you very much for the reporting. More on that story in later broadcasts. News Central will take a quick break. When we come back, we'll bring you more stories. Don't go away.
Why are more and more professionals choosing Flamingo Paint?
Flamingo Paint has great hiding ability to cover and transform old walls easily with just one coat.
With just small paints, I paint huge area, meaning more profit for me. Great value for money.
Guarantees durability for all my buildings.
Flamingo Paint. Superior hiding, superior coverage, superior durability. Flamingo Paint. Simply superior.
Massa, my guy, what did they do? They build. This area, water they destroy one of our buildings for you. The walls all they spoil.
The dampness and moisture, it kill the houses small.
That's why I build with the new Gassem Super Strong Waterproof Cement. Waterproof cement. Yeah. It has a built-in water protection technology that reduces moisture penetration and strengthens walls. The thing they be for foundation, they be for block work, where it's not they be for plastering.
My house, the water wicking I'm already.
You can use this Gassem product to fix it and also to build it right. Gassem Waterproof Cement, the name where water here, they run back.
Gassem Super Strong Waterproof Cement. Build it right once for new buildings and for repairs. Gassem, the nation builder.
observed several individuals actively engaged in illegal mining activities along the course of the river. Several of the illegal miners, including the armed individuals, fled into the surrounding bushes on citing the task force exploiting the cover of the terrain to evade apprehension. The operators had blocked and diverted sections of the river into an artificial dam. The arrested 2 Chinese nationals have since been escorted to the NIMO Secretariat in Accra for further investigation and onward handover to the Ghana Immigration Service as required. In some more stories, Roads Minister Gavin Kwame Agbodza has cautioned contractors who go to site only when they hear of monitoring and evaluation exercise to desist from such practice and show commitment to work. While commending some contractors for the level of work done, the minister insists contractors must be proactive in their work and ensure they deliver on schedule. He was interacting with journalists during his tour of some road project in the Northeast region. My colleague Christopher Marco is with the minister on this particular one. He's joined us via the phone lines. Chris, what has the minister been saying about the situation on the nature of roads and areas he's been visiting?
So, Marina has been interacting with some contractors he met on site yesterday and also reassuring them of government's commitment to ensure that funds are made readily available for them to execute the contract. But he expressed concern about the fact that most of the contractors across the country working on some critical routes, according to him, their investigations has revealed that they only go to site only when they hear that the ministry is coming for monitoring, and he's asked these contractors to desist from that. He's also charged community members to see the contract as their own and ensure that they monitor the contractors to ensure that they don't only get back to site when they hear that the ministry is on a tour, but also to make it a daily routine of working on these roads. He's also called on the contractors to ensure that even if they can do 24 hours work on the roads, they should do so that they can meet the project schedule. Let's take a listen to what the minister has been saying.
Right.
Contractors never see the contract start and finish date as binding. 99% of road contracts in Ghana are never finished on schedule, but they add huge extra cost to the budget, unbudgeted, and now we need to find the money. We mean what we mean when we say that your contract starts and ends on a particular date. We are encouraging every contractor to work within that schedule. So when we see you slip up even 1%, we are not happy. We'll force you to, if you want to keep the contract, you have to bring yourself back to schedule. And fortunately for Northeast, almost all the projects we visited today are on schedule. Some of them are quite far advanced in terms of schedule, which is good news. So we mean what we mean when we say that you must be on schedule, because if you slip up now, incrementally, you might completely miss the completion date. And we don't want to miss any of the completion dates. It looks like the Mawum's project is the one that is most advanced, because they are almost over 30% when they should be just about half of that currently, and the quality of work and everything is good. So Mawum stands out.
Chris, just briefly, where else is the minister expected to be at?
The minister has inspected almost all the critical roads in the Northeast region. The Nakanduri Bintiri Road. He's also inspected a bridge on the White Water in the Northeast region. He's also inspected the Cherponi Saboba roads, and so he's done inspecting almost all the critical roads in the Northeast region. And he has the same assurances that the contractors, with the level of work that he has seen, he believes that they will complete their work ahead of the schedule. He's been praising some of the contractors for doing their best to ensure that the contract is executed well and timely.
Right then, Chris, thank you very much for those details. That's my colleague Christopher Amwako with details for us from the Northeast region, where the roads minister has been inspecting a number of key road projects there. He's been on quite a number of such tours, inspecting road projects amongst many other things. But we can bring you some other stories right now.
After years of delays, abundant timelines and investor uncertainty, government says the long-stalled Marine Drive project is yet to gain momentum. Tourism Minister Ablajifa Gomashi insists government is securing strategic development partners to fast-track construction and transform the once-stalled coastline into a major tourism and commercial hub.
Proposed Marine Drive project is intended to be situated on a 241-acre land, stretching from the Art Center enclave through the Black Star Square to the Osu Christianborg Castle area. A visit to the site reveals some changes. Large portions of the land have now been cleared and divided into development lots with demarcations of lanes. However, there is no active work ongoing. Squatters who hitherto occupied part of the beachfront for years have been evicted as authorities move to secure the land for what government describes as one of the most ambitious tourism and urban redevelopment projects in Ghana's history. The 1.5 billion Marine Drive project is expected to transform Accra's waterfront into a modern tourism and commercial hub, featuring hotels, restaurants, shopping centers, residential apartments, entertainment facilities, an aquarium, and an aqua park. The development will include both low-rise and high-rise buildings, with some structures expected to rise as high as 26 floors, potentially reshaping the skyline of central Accra. The project is also expected to create about 150,000 jobs and attract more than 1 million tourists annually when fully completed. Despite the grand vision, the project has suffered years of delays during the previous NPP's administration after it was launched with huge public expectation. The setbacks to the advancement of the project have been blamed on investor uncertainty, bureaucratic delays, land compensation challenges, and difficulties in securing long-term financing for the massive redevelopment. Although sword-cutting ceremony and policy announcements were made, fiscal progress on the ground remained minimal for years, with part of the project land turned into dam sites by squatters of Art Center who also consume electricity from the national grid for free. Critics have questioned the current administration's financial and administrative capacity to execute the Marine Drive project. But the minister, Ablajifa Gomashi, says government is actively seeking investors and development partners to fast-track construction and unlock the project's economic potential.
I saw the packaging by the anchor developer and Amdel on how they are going to have a roadshow to get investors to come and invest in the place. Everything else, I think we have crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's. We just need people to bring, express interest in it, and of course, bring the financing to come and engage with the ministry so that we can take off from there.
She's also confident that work will progress steadily before the end of the administration.
I'm careful not to blame when I don't understand what happened. But I'm guided by the delay that has, taken place all these years, and see how I address that by moving fast to ensure that we see some development going on and to have a beautiful seafront. We are losing out by not developing the Marine Drive, and so it's my passion to ensure that at least under my tenure as Minister for the sector, that we see some movement and some work being done in the area.
As a result, a 5-member board of directors have been inaugurated to move the project beyond its current state. For many Ghanaians, the renewed commitment by government to seek the continuation of the Marine Drive project to beautify Accra's coastline signals a turning point for a project that for years existed more on paper than in reality. It is the expectation that the Accra Marine Drive project may deliver the transformation successive governments promised. Stanley Niblew, TV3 News, Accra.
Now, the 2024 NDC manifesto promised to initiate a policy to integrate early childhood education into basic education supported by appropriate infrastructure. After 1 year in office, the news team visited the Kwabre East municipality to assess the government's commitment to realizing a key promise made to the Ghanaian people. William Evans Inkum and John Mafo have filed this report.
In the quality of education, among all other reforms, is also anchored on modern infrastructure. At the district level, the realization of the educational infrastructure policy by the central government is infused in the local assemblies' developmental plans and strategies. After 1 year in office, the news team went to the Kwabri East municipality, which has the largest voter population in the Ashanti region, to assess the realization of the president's earlier promise. Here at Abuaso, a 12-unit classroom legacy project for the Holy Quran Islamic School is at completion stage. A KG block and storeroom is also nearing completion.
Community like since Kwabri East came, one may say that since the inception of Kwabri East, or since Kwabri East came, there hasn't been a school in that area before. All of us know, and since I think you've gone around, you notice it. There's no school around the area because I only have 2 communities in Kwabri East that don't have a school. We have Samai and that of Yasori. And so now, as I speak with you, Yasori, because people of school-going age, sometimes if you don't have a car that you can take them to a nearby community, they cannot go to school. We started tackling the KG people.
A 6-unit classroom block for the Ebira RC Primary B has reached roofing level. Other social intervention projects are also being raised under a year. Among the key targets of the Sustainable Development Goals 4 is the guarantee access to quality pre-primary education and early childhood development. To the MCE, extending education to every community is one of its priority areas.
We'll be right back with more news. Don't go away.
Back here on the bulletin. Now, in April, Ghana launched its national AI strategy, setting a clear path to grow the country's digital future. The move, alongside the 1 Million Coders Initiative, is opening new opportunities for young tech innovators. However, many say access to funding, mentorship and support systems is a key determinant of how far the ecosystem can truly grow. In this report, Samuel Yebo Adams tells a story of a young tech innovator.
In the heart of Dansoman, one of the suburbs in Accra, Frederick Abila thought he was the only child who had no talent. But out of curiosity, everything changed.
When I was young, I think I tried singing, didn't work. I tried doing choreography. It was too difficult for me. So I tried doing a whole lot of things. But the biggest talent I had back then was to write. Because I've always been getting ideas, even from infancy. It wasn't because I was interested in technology. I just wanted to learn more, understand more about these things. I developed an interest over time, just engaging with those kind of things, and then that's when I started building. So it was out of curiosity that I got involved in technology, because initially I'd always wanted to be a doctor.
Now a level 300 student of the University of Mines and Natural Resources, Takwa, he recounts the strides he has made as a young tech innovator alongside his passion for mental health.
The very first platform I built was an e-commerce platform, because my mom is a hairdresser, but she decided to add trading into her activities. So I just wanted to learn how digital marketplaces work and try and find a way to help sellers sell their products online. I got interested in more ideas, and one of them had to do with social media, and that was during COVID-19. So during that period, I started to learn more and more, and I started to build a social media platform. So I was just thinking, what other service might we be lacking in terms of availability to the internet? And I realized social media was one of them. Because similar to PayPal, if Facebook, Instagram, all the big leagues decided to, let's say, shut down in Ghana, it would be very distressful. So I decided to take on that challenge and build something similar to that for Africans. So with that, I developed a wider sense of building. I decided to enter into building products related to connecting or bringing people together.
However, he says young tech innovators like himself face a lot of challenges.
A lot of work is going on, and no one is taking notice of what is going on. And it makes it very difficult to build in Ghana, because I feel like a lot of youth have their ideas and they have their solutions available. But if the government doesn't adopt these solutions, everyone would want to go and seek greener pastures elsewhere.
Fortunately for him, he met Andrew Child, a UK-based market researcher who found what he does fascinating and has since supported his ideas.
And I came across Fred in November 2022, where I was browsing through Facebook randomly, and all of a sudden an article popped up that said 18-year-old African builds a social network for Africans, and I was intrigued, and I was so impressed by how someone I didn't know much about Africa, but I thought a student building this by himself.
For Child, young tech enthusiasts like Frederick must be given all the support they need.
You just need to pay attention to young Africans, and I think even older Africans in Ghana, maybe other countries, are guilty of ignoring the youth. And the common thread is they just haven't got the resources to do what they need to do. They've got wonderful ideas.
In April this year, Ghana launched a national AI strategy. At the launch, President Mahama highlighted the need for young people to be supported in such ecosystem.
At the heart of all these pillars is one imperative: capacity. Without skilled people, strong institutions, secure infrastructure, and sound governance, no AI strategy can succeed. And that is why this strategy places equal weight on innovation and responsibility, on ambition and safeguards, on investment and inclusion. AI cannot thrive without infrastructure. Data, computing power, connectivity, and energy are now as strategic to the digital age as roads, ports, railways, and power plants were to the earlier eras of development. The government is therefore taking steps to strengthen our National Data Center and ensure that our digital backbone is secure, resilient, and capable of supporting the growing demands of the AI systems.
With the 1 Million Coders Initiative by the Ministry of Communication in force, Conversations are emerging on what is seen for the already existing web developers, digital builders and AI innovators like Frederick. For Frederick, young innovators must be supported with all the resources to prevent them from seeking greener pastures outside the country with their knowledge that could have been useful to their home country.
Private institutions should also look into solutions built by young Ghanaians that they could probably fund or put money into to helping them scale their products also. Because there are a lot of ideas out there which would flourish if they had the available resources to them.
Now 21, Frederick is set to organize a build weekend in his school, bringing together other young tech innovators to showcase their talent to the world. Samuel Yeboah, Adams, TV3 News, Accra.
Always a delight seeing young people do amazing things. That's our bulletin for you today. I am Mawina Egbeta.
Oh yeah, belated happy birthday to my co-anchor. How old are you now?
That continues to be a secret.
A mystery.
Protecting
it's okay. You feel free to say. I hear you're 21.
That will be
well now. Congratulations on becoming an adult. you can say you're welcome.
Thank you.
We'll see you same time tomorrow. Bye bye.